All right, my name is Big Time. Going to be hanging with Wicked today. Hopefully, she can come on. Wicked is my co host. She is a member of the divested community from Chicago. So, in terms of lefty progressive politics, as a member of the white class, I'm not allowed to talk, but as a black woman, she has every right to speak about her own people, right? That's the direction we're going in anyway. So hopefully she can come on. Give me one sec. We're just going to be adding one more story. And let me see. Trying to bring up the story about his name is Baby K. See what she has to talk about. I'm pretty sure DZ covered it. We'll put it on there. Let's put on the Mammy. Let's put on the district attorney for Prince George's County. All right, we've got all our stories. Hopefully she can jump on. I know she usually says 8 o'clock her time. So what we'll do is we're going to hit a story from Redux. Which everybody seems to hate and everybody pretends isn't real. Which is so weird to me. One sec, we'll pull it up. Pick a story, any story. I like Redux because it's a place you can go to where everybody says, "Oh, why are you afraid of men in women's spaces?" Oh, Redux is why. So, what do we got today? Let's hit this one. United Kingdom. Polyamorous children's charity counselor convicted of rape, indecent assault. Oh, polyamorous. Oh, yeah. Okay. Doesn't work. Polyamorous man who worked with the Children's Mental Health Charity has been found guilty of sex attacks on 2 women in Scotland. Wow, really? No way. You're saying a guy that's in a relationship with multiple women has less respect for those women as opposed to a monogamous relationship? Wow, that's so weird. It's almost like it doesn't work and you can't match a marriage between a man and a woman. That's strange. Morgan Pryor, 33, had been featured in a BBC documentary on polyamory. Oh, of course, of course. Let's show your hedonism. Next, they're just going to have a show about black pimps in an effort to raise awareness and support for the lifestyle. Yeah. Pryor was remanded into custody after his hearing on Monday, during which the Dundee court judge stated that it was not remotely conceivable that a non-custodial sentence will be assigned. You have been convicted of 2 charges. One is serious and the other is very serious. You have been convicted of offenses which will inevitably result in a significant period of custody. Wow, you're such a nice, weak judge. I cannot allow you to maintain your liberty. You will likely face a lengthy period in custody, the judge continued, noting that Pryor would be enrolled to the sex offenders registry. That's a start. Following the guilty verdict, Pryor's 3 polyamorous partners began bawling in the courtroom. Sound like white mammies to me. The convictions came after Pryor was handed 2 charges, one of rape and one of indecent assault on 2 separate women. 4 additional charges, which included attempted rape and an indecent assault on a 16-year-old girl, were dismissed. I wonder why that was, but at least they got him for the other 3. Guilty till proven innocent, right? Pryor was initially called before court on the charges in 2021, but had been out on bail since. In 2018, Pryor and his throuple were featured on TV because they can't stand the concept of marriage, because we have to destroy the nuclear family even more, which stated he started a former female partner had introduced him to the lifestyle. Kind of like Adam and Eve. Lots of communication, a little more sex. In the accompanying article, one of Pryor's partners called him a great emotional communicator. The day of his conviction, Pryor posted a link to the BBC article saying that he was glad to still be living a genuine life. I'm proud to say that I'm the happiest I've ever been. Yeah, wait till you're in prison. Very much despite the trouble that followed, I have no regrets from being involved in this. When I mentioned that to some people, they're quite surprised because they think open relationships, polyamory, that's clearly the man's idea because it's lots of sex, right? At the time of his conviction, Pryor worked as a health counselor. Wow, really? No way. A guy who doesn't respect women and tries to grape children is a children's counselor and a children's mental health charity? Wow, that's really strange. I've never heard of that before. According to the charity's website, Place to Be is a pioneer in early intervention. Oh yeah, he's a pioneer, all right. Which helps schools understand and identify mental health problems, enable children and young people to focus on learning, and give them tools to cope with challenges throughout their lives, like trying to be graped by older men. He's also a men's rights activist and regularly posted about men's societal issues. Oh wow, he liked the red pill. Amongst Pryor's grievances were the fact that in the United Kingdom, the legal definition of grape requires the perpetrator to have penetrated the victim with his penis. The legal definition of grape requires the perpetrator have a penis and use him. Oh, okay, so he's just retarded. Confusingly, the gendered wording is often justified by claiming that most, in asterisks and parentheses apparently, grapes are carried out by men, sometimes even with percentages, despite the wording of the law making men 100% of the perpetrators. Pryor continued ostensibly referring to trans-identified men who have mental disorders who have been convicted of grape in the United Kingdom and using them as evidence that a female perpetrator could be convicted of penetrating a male victim. Well, I think it depends. That's not to say that a female couldn't attack a man in a sexual manner, say like using a knife or a gun and putting it in his private parts. It's not to say that can't happen. Pryor was also known in the medieval reenactment community and regularly participated in medieval fairs. Well, I mean, okay, I don't really know. That's just something else he did. That sounds like a hobby. But yeah. So again, for all the what's your problem? Well, why don't you support other lifestyles? Well, because pedophiles are attracted to children and they want to be around children. And as it says, he was a counselor. Pioneer in early intervention as a health counselor for Place to Be, a children's mental health charity. Right. What a surprise. A man who likes to attack children works at a place where there's lots of children. Interesting. We don't have Wicked yet. Let me reach out and see what she's doing. One sec. All right. Use YouTube as a way to reach out. See if she's able to reach out or not. So what we'll do is just go back and forth, see if she's around. If she's not around, we'll just cover a couple more stories. Let's see. Let's start with. Let me just pull up the videos here. Okay. Well, I'm sure everyone heard about this one. So we had an illegal immigrant or a asylum seeker stab children in France. Yeah. That's right, guys. Just let everybody in, right? Everybody's a good person, right? Especially if they're brown. They've done nothing wrong.
And breaking news coming in from France. 6 children have been injured in a mass stabbing spree in the French town of Annecy.
But I thought if they got rid of all the guns, there'd be no violence.
That's the piece of breaking news that's coming in, where 6 children have been injured after an assailant went on a mass stabbing spree in the French town of Annecy. What we are learning is that 6
Clearly, it's the knife's fault. Let's ban all the knives, and then this will stop, right? That's lefty logic.
children have been injured in this entire incident. This has taken place in the town of Annecy. This is in the French Alps, ladies and gentlemen. 6 children have been injured after an assailant went on a mass stabbing spree in the French town of Annecy. I'm joined by my colleague Siddhant on the phone line. Siddhant, reports suggest that this assailant was actually a Syrian asylum seeker who went on this stabbing spree in Annecy.
Well, that's right. So the report that we are getting from France right now is that 6 nursery children and 1 adult have suffered injuries, and this was a mass stabbing which took place this morning in French Alps while playing in a playground. There was a lone man who has been spotted armed with a knife, and he attacked a group of children aging between 3 years to 9 years, and this happened at 9:45 local time. Now, the unarmed suspect has been arrested. He's being thoroughly...
Boy, thank God the French are so progressive and that none of the parents there had guns. Whew. I wouldn't have want a parent to defend their children in self-defense and blown this motherfucker away into a million pieces and made him look like Swiss cheese. Thank God the French are so progressive. There's also a funnier thing I want to talk about. I'm not going to play the video, but if you actually watch the video of the stabbing, which Twitter's trying to take down, a woman gets stabbed, and as she's being stabbed, she looks at a man coming down a slide, and there's kind of this moment where, to me, what she thinks is she thinks this man should save her life, and what happens is the man runs away. And the point I want to make is I blame weak men, and I also blame women for why this is happening in society. You've been telling men for the past 20 years about toxic masculinity. You've been telling men that you're bad and evil. You tell men that working out is fat phobic. You tell people to accept all sizes. Victoria's Secret now has like plus size models. Doctors get sued because they tell fat women that, the needle can't fit in your vein. You're going to have a heart attack or we're going to have to amputate your feet from type 2 diabetes. You tell men, you allow women into government and women want to hug everybody and they don't believe in things like stand your ground or castle doctrine or the Second Amendment. And they just want to let everybody in and they can't understand why this would happen. And they want to protect your children. And they want first world privilege. And feminism only exists in the first world. And if I could use an example, in the Ukraine, when they went to war against Russia, and Ukraine, certainly at Kiev, its first world status, all the women got to leave. And all the men aged 18 to 60 had to stay and fight and die. So I don't know what to say. You tell men they're evil. You tell men they're terrible. You tell men, you talk about mansplaining and spreading their legs and that they're not supposed to fight. They're not supposed to work out. And we all live in peace. And you don't need to defend yourself. And why do you need Mace at a park? Well, I don't know what to tell you. This is why there are women who complain at me because I drop off my children and they might see me open carrying when I'm dropping off my children. What do you need that for? Well, with your fat ass, I don't expect you to save my kid. If you can't look down and see your toes, you're probably going to be a victim. I don't know what to tell you. Being fat doesn't help you survive an encounter. Anyway, that's my tangent.
Interrogated by law enforcement agencies in France, and in fact, multiple agencies are right now working on this particular case. So this is a prima facie detail that we are getting that 6 children and 1 adult have been stabbed by this lone stabber.
And what are we learning about the condition of these children? Because these are very young children who've been attacked by this assailant.
Well, all of them have been rushed to the hospital, and and they are being given to proper treatment. Some of them have been given first aid, and then those who require clinical treatment, then that is also being done right now. We are trying to get more information with regards to the health of these, with regards to the injuries that these 8 of them have suffered.
I also want to point out that there were, I Hypocrite did the video. I was trying to find the video where essentially we had somebody in France who was upset that they pointed out the identity of the guy who stabbed people. Oh, you know, what was it, an Algerian? When they mentioned the nationality, that he was an asylum seeker, this one guy got all in his feelings and his tampon squirted out of his mangina. Oh, you know, if this was London, they wouldn't even point out. They would just say, man stabbed. That's right. It's not important to know the race or ethnicity, right? Just like all the grape gangs in London and UK, they're all Asian, right? They're not 85 to 90% Pakistani men. That's right. Patterns are racist, guys. At least these Indians here are telling the truth. I like that.
But right now, the police's focus is to know whether this attacker is linked to any of the groups, or perhaps had some intention in mind, and what was a motive behind doing this. So that is.
And of course, none of the citizens will say, maybe we need to walk in groups. Maybe the men should go with their children. Maybe the women should work together and walk in groups of 5 or 6. Maybe we should carry billy clubs or blackjacks or mace or knives. Maybe we should arm ourselves to defend ourselves. No, nobody will think that way. They'll just think that, you know, oh, it'll never happen again. It can't happen to me.
It's something which police is trying to ascertain.
Right. And Siddhant, the report suggests that this man was a Syrian asylum seeker. The opposition must be really up in arms, given the fact that Emmanuel Macron has been in favor of allowing Syrian asylum seekers into France. But the opposition was always up in arms about that, saying that this allows the spread of terror in France.
Absolutely. And in fact, you see the conservative right-wing politics is on a rise in France also. And in fact, there have been...
Wow, right wing's on the rise in France? I can't wonder why. No, why? I have no idea. You mean stabbing children? You mean if I went into Harlem, I'm not advocating this, don't do this. You mean if a white person went into Blackistan and suddenly attacked a bunch of children, are you saying they'd have a right to be upset? Oh, it can't be the other way around, though, right?
Has been a victim of radical radical terrorism. There have been several bomb blasts, and in fact, time and again there have been a lot of conversions, and in fact, a lot of citizens have gone to Syria and Iraq to join ISIS. So France has seen it all, and this could perhaps make things difficult for Emmanuel Macron's government in France, because the conservative parties are going to and conservative groups are going to raise this issue, because since this attacker has a background of coming from a family of Syrian asylum, so that perhaps makes this case even more interesting.
I'm tired of watching the same footage.
France, the errors, it can happen in India too. So we all have to be collectively this kind of new dangerous trend. It is very unfortunate. We hope that this is done and in future such acts are prevented.
Right. And if you see those visuals on the right side of your screen, ladies and gentlemen, these are visuals coming in from the National Assembly, and where top officials of the French government have said that there is nothing more abominable than attacking children. To the victims of the NSC attack, to their families, to the police and rescue forces mobilized to help them.
You betrayed your country. Will you, okay, all right, take this as a learning, as a stepping stone. Will you be like Ecuador, and will you allow your citizens to carry weapons to defend their children? Yes or no? That's what I want to know. Anyway, let's go. I got a couple stories here. Actually, let's see which one.
The man accused of firing shots into a car, killing a 1-year-old girl. Fox 6's Aaron Maben live with exactly what the girl's parents say happened before those gunshots rang out.
Still a lot developed.
Clearly, it was a white supremacist, right? Because as Biden told all the pro-blackity blacks, and not all of them are pro-blackity black, at the HBCU at Howard, white supremacy is the most dangerous form of domestic terrorism in America, right? I wonder who murdered this innocent little girl. Let me see her picture again. It was a white supremacist, right? Rest in peace. Rest in peace.
Year-old girl. Fox 6's Aaron Maben live with exactly what the girl's parents say happened before.
Context clue number one. They sent a black guy.
Before those gunshots rang out.
Still a lot developing with this horrible homicide investigation. Zaire Nevels was supposed to celebrate her second birthday Saturday, but instead of planning her birthday party, family members are planning a funeral.
Zaire was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
Warm memories comfort Zaire.
Now tell me. Let's see who did it.
Zaire Nevels' parents. The 1-year-old girl was shot and killed Saturday near 19th and Atkinson.
Zaire stepped through the door. Everybody light up.
Her father, Montrell Nevels, and mother, Jeanne Brown, talked with Fox 6 over the phone Tuesday. Police say Zaire was shot while in a car during an argument, but Brown says there was not an argument that night.
It was clearly a white guy wearing a MAGA hat, right?
She says the family was being followed while driving before the shooting.
Once we left the house, that's when the car started following us. Once we noticed that he was following us, we was trying to get away, and that's when he let the shots off around Atkinson Library. After the shots went off, I ended up crashing the car, still trying to get away because we were still being chased.
After the shooting, Zaire's family took her to a nearby fire station. First responders took her to the hospital where she died.
She fought all the way to the hospital, fought.
Department of Transportation cameras show law enforcement arresting the homicide suspect on I-94 in Kenosha County Sunday. Documents show the 27-year-old man is being held for first-degree intentional homicide. Fox 6 isn't naming him because he has not been charged, but the family says they know who it is.
They used to be a friend, but I knew them from a friend.
Zaire Nevels' life was short, but family says her impact was great. What do you really want people to know about Zaire?
I want people to remember my baby as the innocent, beautiful, young.
So they knew the person who did it, and it was over an argument. I mean, that never happens in the black community, right? This is a one-off, right? Never happens, right? Innocent children are not murdered. That only happens once in a blue moon, right?
Facing charges in connection with the killing of 4-year-old Talia Frazier. And we know 3 of them are in custody now, and police are still looking for.
Now, clearly, this is white supremacy. Clearly, this was 2 MAGA white guys walking down the street at 2 a.m. with bleach. They were just looking for it. They wanted the next Emmett Till, right?
For one more.
Cole Johnson's joining us live with the new developments regarding this. And Cole, we've reported that there were initially 2 men involved, but now we're seeing more facing charges. So what are police telling us what happened?
Good morning to you both. Well, police say that 4 of them pulled up at the intersection of Dickerson Pike and Douglas Avenue. This is where that shooting happened last week. And they say 2 of them got out and started shooting at the car that Talia was in.
Now, these are clearly white guys, right?
Hitting her and others, and she later died. Here, if you take a look at your screen.
I don't believe it. See, now this is institutional white supremacy, Supreme Pizza here. This is white Supreme Pizza. See, that's the reason this little girl is dead, because, see, now, if these guys had just had a rec center, they wouldn't have murdered this innocent girl.
Screen, you'll see 3 of them that are arrested.
I can't imagine why black women have just decided to divest. I really can't imagine why. It's not like their children are being murdered on a daily basis.
Trey Dennis, who was arrested yesterday, Kamari Johnson and Kenlando Lewis were both arrested last Wednesday. Lamarian Buchanan is still out there, and police are trying to find him. If you're just getting...
Oh my God, bro. He's got to be on like lean, or maybe that K2. Jesus, he's got to be on something. He looks half awake.
Getting up to speed on this case, it happened last Tuesday night. 4-year-old Talia was shot in the head, dying hours later. 2 twin boys were also in the back seat. One of them was grazed, and the driver was shot in the arm. We've learned the car the 4 men allegedly were in was found abandoned by police Friday. In a pre-recorded message, Police Chief John Drake says they still don't know why this happened.
While the motive for this targeted shooting remains under investigation, I will say this. Senseless gun violence is claiming the lives of too many men, women, and children. We must do better, Nashville.
Anything else you want to mention? Any statistics or maybe a pattern you're seeing of the perpetrators? Anything else? Wow. And I want to say that another town with a black police chief. I'm surprised it's not a female, though. At least it's a guy. But I'm just surprised because usually I hear about how racist this country is. But every town I see run by the Democrats has black people in positions of authority and in the government.
If you know where the 4th suspect, Lamarian Buchanan, may be, you'll want to call Crime Stoppers. That number is 615-74-CRIME. You can remain anonymous and
next.
At 10, with the influx of migrants, so many organizations are stepping in to help people adjust. And as CBS 2's Jermont Terry shows us, one group even allowed migrants to sleep inside their office space to accommodate the demand for services.
So I'm going to go off on something right now. Let me look up something. Let's see. Google homeless Chicago 2023. I do remember that Lori Lightfoot tried to get the homeless to sleep at the airport. Anybody remember that? We'll look up that story next.
In the southwest side.
So the point is, if you're an American, fuck you. But if you're a migrant, oh, we'll give you whatever you need.
On Archer sits Envision Community Services.
Isn't the Uniparty great, guys? It's nice to be replaced, isn't it?
We focus on education, workforce development, public health.
The organization also prides itself on outreach. And after seeing the influx of migrants in Chicago,
we had to step up.
Envision teamed up with the city to create a resource fair for migrants to get a city key ID. The Chicago City Key ID is...
Oh, we got to get in the vote, guys. Now they can vote.
an optional ID that residents of Chicago can get access to city services. Now, the City Key ID helps people who are undocumented or homeless who might have a problem maintaining or getting the ID, and that includes the many migrants sleeping outside police stations. Yet, after creating a flyer about Wednesday's fair,
people started arriving around 5:30 p.m. yesterday, and they wanted to camp out.
So the folks
be able to stay here overnight.
And the migrants, we're told, were so appreciative.
Look up something real fast. So this was 3 months ago. So does anybody remember when Lori Lightfoot was moving the homeless people of Chicago, not migrants, Americans, and she pushed them to O'Hare Airport? Anybody remember?
Afternoon. The mayor says that steps are being taken to address the problem out here. One janitor that I spoke to here this morning says the problem is now out of control. Anyone who's been to O'Hare in recent months surely has come across homeless people sleeping on benches or walking the airport hallways.
We've seen this beautiful gateway to Chicago been overrun by the homeless.
Alderman Ray Lopez, a frequent critic of the mayor.
Listen to how they even talk about you. Listen to how they'd welcome the immigrants with open arms. But if you're homeless, fuck you. We don't want you around. What is it, NIMBY?
appeared on a national program this week, telling the host 200 to 300 people are using the airport as a shelter in what he called an indoor outhouse.
They're not just urinating in the hallways, they're taking baths in the toilets. They're making a mockery of what Chicago is.
A janitor shared these photos of piles of clothes in a bathroom here.
But if this had been a migrant, if this had been an illegal immigrant, he wouldn't have said a fucking word, right?
He also shared photos we can't put on TV that show urine and feces in elevators and halls.
But if we have a measles outbreak at a police station at the 25th or 26th district police station because of illegal immigrants, we can't talk about it because that's xenophobic.
Always. He also told me off camera he has been threatened by a homeless person who had a knife.
We understand that homelessness is a problem we must address, but making O'Hare Airport a homeless shelter for hundreds of people on a daily basis, when we're trying to welcome people here, when we're trying to encourage tourism, bring back the business clientele, bring back families to our city, and to only have them greeted by hundreds of homeless who have mental health issues, may be armed, maybe not even be clothed, that's not something that institutes a lot of confidence in our mayor, in our...
But if they're illegal immigrants, they could be all those things, and we can't talk about it. Isn't that amazing? Is that amazing just how they talk about the two different groups of people? Isn't that fascinating? I think it's absolutely fascinating. And of course, they were now notice that they were complaining about about homeless people, and in Chicago, homeless black people. Now I'm leaning into my lefty side a little bit. If you're the mayor and you're the city council, you have a responsibility to the citizens of your state or the citizens of your county or city or your municipality, whatever. So they were complaining about having homeless black people. And I'm assuming that they're black because of Chicago. He was complaining about them being there, complaining about them being armed and pissing everywhere and shitting everywhere and cleaning themselves down. Yet, the Chicago Community College welcomes illegal immigrants. Of course, I hit the button. My mistake. Today's just going to be like a mishmash of just reasons why you should divest. I am a white man. I don't think I'm a zaddy at all. And I'm saying divest.
On the move again in Chicago, the city prioritizing families taking some of the migrants with kids over to Daly College for temporary shelter, many of them getting fed, freshened up, and taking in the sunshine on campus. Some migrants told us off camera they are anxious to work and find more permanent housing, but are thankful for this shelter. A woman who has lived near Midway for about 25 years now heard about the migrants coming to Daly College and wanted to help. Diane Martinez had seen how they have been living at police precincts.
What is the difference? What is the difference between this and the homeless people at Chicago? Why does everybody turn away homeless Americans, but they welcome with loving arms illegal immigrants? You've heard of selective outrage, right? Like when black people, they're murdered by other black people and they don't say anything. But like, I'm going to play a story where a black woman's son was murdered and she's just remembering his life. But I'm pretty sure when a crackhead who died in Minneapolis, a home invading man who put a gun against a woman, Araceli Enriquez, that's her name, she was probably more upset over that and said, we're all tired of being hunted, but her own child is murdered. And she just, oh, I remember his life. Like, that's your community. Do you understand? But again, I also see this with people on the left. I don't understand this. Why was everybody upset? Again, why was everybody upset at the homeless people? Oh, they're pissing and shitting everywhere. Oh, it's dirty. Oh, they're being seen. Oh, and they might have weapons. But as soon as you mention they're legal immigrants, everybody wants to help them. Oh, we got to give them food. We're going to give them job training. We're going to give them IDs. But does anybody see it? Does anybody see the hypocrisy, the double standard? I don't get it. If someone wants to explain it to me, please jump on.
Them with their belongings in a plastic bag So today she brought in some suitcases.
It's humiliating enough that they're in a position where not everybody wants them here.
Hey, Wicked.
Hey. Oops, can
What's
you hear me?
going on?
Oh, I am so sorry. I just got in from work.
Yeah, stop paying your bills.
I know, damn it. As much as I love, like, social media, I actually have a guaranteed check coming in. It's pretty good.
No, of course.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm happy to be here. I'm happy. So, let me listen to see what you got going on. I just walked in the house.
I don't know if you
Better
really,
help us make-
I don't know if you really want to. So I was covering some stuff, and now I'm on to some parts of Chicago.
Oh, fun.
So let me
Fun, because
see.
this city is fun right now.
So can I play? Okay, so can I do this? And thank you for coming on, everybody. This is my co-host. She is from Chicago. She's also a member of the Divested community. And I'm going to be a good white person, and she's going to tell me how to fix the black community.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to tell you exactly how to fix the black community.
Well, I know you might see yourself as a centrist. I saw your last video where you were talking about left and right and what they both do, and they both censor about certain things.
Yeah.
So if I may, I want to play 2 videos about what's happening in Chicago with the illegal immigrants. And then I want to play a video about 3 months ago about what Lori Lightfoot did. And I want to ask what the difference is, or at least what I see, and get your take on it. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right, here we go.
Influx of migrants, so many organizations are stepping in to help people adjust. And as CBS 2's Jermont Terry shows us, one group even allowed migrants to sleep inside their office space to accommodate the demand for services.
In the southwest side on Archer sits Envision Community Services.
We focus on education, workforce development, public health.
The organization also prides itself on outreach, and after seeing the influx of migrants in Chicago,
we had to step up.
So in other words, Latinos helping Latinos. That's not really a surprise to me.
Envision teamed up with the city to create a resource fair for migrants to get a city key ID. The Chicago City Key ID is an optional ID that residents of Chicago can get access to city services. Now, the City Key ID helps people who are undocumented or homeless who might have a
I had to throw in the homeless.
problem maintaining or getting an ID, and that includes the many migrants sleeping outside police stations. Yet, after creating a flyer about Wednesday's fair,
People started arriving around 5:30 p.m. yesterday, and they
But Stacey Abrams in Georgia told me that black people can't get IDs because of racist voter laws.
I don't know what's happening in Georgia, but here in Illinois, we don't have a problem getting IDs. Okay. And we don't have a problem voting.
Yeah, I was going to say it was the same thing in Philly. You could go to the DMV as a homeless person and you could get an ID. You get a city ID.
Yeah, we don't have that problem up here. So I don't know what they're doing down in Georgia, but we don't have that problem up here. You can get an ID.
wanted to camp out.
So the folks at Envision opened its doors and invited more than 200 people inside the tight space.
We decided to open up the office for them and for them to be able to stay here overnight.
And the migrants, we're told, were so appreciative.
It's not just our job. We do it from our heart.
Envision workers stayed.
I'm not seeing a lot of blacks at this place. This seems mainly like a Latino thing. Do you see that? Do you see that picture?
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Well, you know what? Let the Latinos help out their people. Some of your people, they coming up here, they your relatives.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know who they are. That's one of my points.
The office turned hotel was quickly transformed into this, a city key ID station.
We started in the morning with already over 100 people registered. By the end of the event, we were almost at 300.
246 Chicago City Key IDs were issued, and those at Envision plan to hold another fair soon because they believe it shows the need.
I think people need to stop judging and start caring more. They left with a smile on their face. So
Remember what she said. Start caring more. Did you hear that?
Okay.
All right. I got one more about the migrants, and then I want to go back 3 months.
Okay.
Move again in Chicago, the city prioritizing families taking some of the migrants with kids over to Daly College for temporary shelter. Many of them getting fed, freshened up, and taking in the sunshine on campus. Some migrants told us off camera they are anxious to work and find more permanent housing, but are thankful for this shelter. A woman who has lived near Midway for about 25 years now heard about the migrants coming to Daly College and wanted to help. Diane Martinez had seen how they have been living at police precincts, many of them with their belongings in a plastic bag. So today...
So you saw that image, right? Sleeping at the police precinct?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right. Please remember that. I'm actually going to bring up 2 other stories.
Okay.
And then I want to do a comparison, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
Belongings in a plastic bag. So today she brought in some suitcases.
It's humiliating enough that they're in a position where not everybody wants
Martinez. Okay.
them here, and every little bit that somebody can do to make them feel a bit more comfortable and welcomed, why not?
There has been some pushback from other residents about the migrants being housed at Daly College. The community meeting Thursday night fueled some anger from people living on the southwest side.
When do citizens of the United States of America come first?
City leaders say it's a fraction of the cost to house migrants at the college compared to a hotel.
They've struggled. They went through a lot to get here. And for them to get here and then be spoken to so badly or not welcomed at all, it's just not right.
Oh, I think you're going to eat your fucking words, you stupid woman. All right, we ready?
Yeah.
All right. Anybody remember do you remember this 3 months ago? Remember when Lori Lightfoot put all the homeless at the airport?
That steps are being taken to address the problem out here. One janitor that I spoke to here this morning says the problem is now out of control. Anyone who's been to O'Hare in recent months surely has come across homeless people sleeping on benches or walking the airport hallways.
We've seen this beautiful gateway to Chicago been overrun by the homeless.
Alderman Ray
Overrun by the homeless.
Lopez, a frequent critic of the mayor's, appeared on a national program this week telling the host 200 to 300 people are using the airport as a shelter in what he called an indoor outhouse.
They're not just urinating in the hallways, they're taking baths in the toilets. They're making a mockery of what Chicago is.
A janitor shared these photos of piles of clothes in a bathroom here. He also shared photos we can't put on TV that show urine and feces in elevators and hallways. He also told me off camera he has been threatened by a homeless person who had a knife.
We understand that homelessness is a problem we must address, but making O'Hare Airport a homeless shelter for hundreds of people on a daily basis, when we're trying to welcome people here, when we're trying to encourage tourism, bring back the business clientele, bring back families to our city, and to only have them greeted by hundreds of homeless who have mental health issues, may be armed, maybe not even be clothed, that's not something that institutes a lot of confidence in our mayor.
Wow. So is he saying that he doesn't know what's wrong with these people and he doesn't want to bring them around tourists?
Yeah, that's the last thing tourists who come to Chicago want to see when they come to O'Hare. You know, and I've been through O'Hare Airport. Let me see. I just got back from Texas, and I came through O'Hare, and then a couple of months ago, I was in Mexico, and I came through O'Hare. So I think they cleaned that up because I didn't see any homeless, and the airport looked normal.
But
well, maybe I just didn't see it.
Well, maybe I'm only hearing what I want to hear. Why do they talk about the homeless this way, but the illegals, they don't talk about it that way?
Because the illegals have people to represent them, and nobody gives a damn about the homeless except for, like, you know, super liberals
Or super religious.
Yeah, You know, I
Well,
don't
that's
see super religious people doing too much for these homeless people. Not really. I mean, a little bit here or there, but
yeah.
for what the homeless need, I don't think that the churches can like really help out too much. It's the problem is too deep.
But we don't see but I still don't understand why they talk about the homeless this way. They like the fact that he said they might have a mental health disorder, they might be sick, they might have a weapon, we don't know who they are. They don't apply that same logic with illegal immigrants.
Right, it's two different standards. They
Right.
look at they look at the people who come here, those people who come here as just poor victims, who like I don't know. They have sympathy and empathy for them. They see them as human.
It's
But the
selective
homeless they
empathy.
see as just troublesome and burdens on society and just
Right.
trash.
It's I mean, to me, if you've heard of the term selective outrage, to me, it's selective empathy.
It is selective empathy. Absolutely, it is.
I mean,
Absolutely.
if people need help, they need help.
Yeah.
And all the resources that go to the illegals are not going to go to the homeless.
And that's a big issue. And something is going on, and I need to research it more in the city, because the homeless people in Chicago, there are like somebody supplying them with tents.
You were talking about that.
I mean, when you see matching tents, like dozens and dozens of matching tents, and like somebody is supplying them
It's
with
probably an
something.
NGO.
Mm.
Yeah, I someone pointed this out yesterday. Did you see the Armenians in California fighting with the multi-letter mafia?
Good for them. Good
The same
for
thing
them.
happened in Maryland. The same thing happened in Maryland. There was a bunch of Muslims who said no.
It is time to rise up against this craziness. They are pushing this BS. They are pushing this BS like I cannot believe it. It's like you cannot swing a dead cat without hitting a damn rainbow something. Like, I'm sorry, are we celebrating somebody's sex life? Is that what we're doing? Are we pushing this on kids? Can't kids be kids? I would have been with the Armenian. I would have been with them fighting tooth and nail too. Like, get this bullshit out of schools.
Yeah,
leave
they
my
were all
kids
wearing
alone.
T-shirts. Yeah, they were all wearing T-shirts that say "Don't touch our kids" or something like that.
Good for
And
them.
And I'm going to say something terrible, and this is probably going to get me labeled, but the police were not able to Charlottesville them. Do you know what I'm referencing?
Sure. Yeah.
What I mean is, what they did in Charlottesville is the police funneled the Unite the Right protesters right into Antifa, so they would be attacked.
Mm-hmm.
And because it started a brawl, the police were able to say this is a public nuisance, and they were able to shut down the protest because they were trying to remove the Robert E. Lee statue. And if you remember, that was the famous clip that Trump talked about where he said there were good people on both sides.
Yeah.
And they edited out this one portion of the clip to make it sound like he supported the men who were walking down with tiki torches.
Mm-hmm.
But no offense, the Democrats were caught a little while later with tiki torches protesting against Republicans. And we've had reports come out against the January 6th. There was over 100 federal agents there.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't really say for sure if those guys were glowing or not. I have no idea. But because the police were not able to funnel the parents towards the protesters, they weren't able to shut it down. And the Armenians they all had cell phones and cameras, and they were filming everything.
You know what? I am on the side of the parents, because these people, you cannot tell me these people are not after the kids. Why is this in the schools? This is not about like showing, okay, that there are other people with alternative lifestyles. This is not about that.
It's
This
about
is
normalizing pedophilia.
recruiting these kids for this. They are, they are pushing it on the kids. I saw some video where it was an elementary school, and I guess it was like, they were celebrating Pride, and they had a whole thing where the kids are like, walking like, like drag queens or whatever, through this, this whole rainbow, whatever. I'm like, excuse me, what the hell is that?
Right.
What? I am so outraged. I am freaking over Pride Month. I'm over this BS because it has just turned into a freak show.
We're 9 days in.
We're 9 days in, and you know what? I have to tell you, I did something, and I just
No, go
ordered
ahead.
stickers. I just ordered stickers to have printed up, and I'm going to be popping them all over the place. I'm going to do a little guerrilla warfare all over Chicago.
I mean, well, you still have freedom of speech.
I have free.
Hey,
No,
I'll tell you.
Not really. They're trying to.
Yeah.
The Democrats are taking that away from us. As much as they criticize the Republicans, they're doing this. They got the same thing going on. They're censoring people.
Yeah, they're definitely trying, and it's gonna get worse as we get closer to the election.
People are
Here, let
getting
me
fired.
let me show you this.
Okay.
Now, you remember that picture of, so we are saying there's a double standard for the homeless,
Yes.
where everybody thinks they're a nuisance, but the illegal immigrants are just helping them hand over fist.
Yeah.
Well, you saw them sleeping in the police station, but look at this.
All day long.
That's right. We spotted this notice posted on the window of Chicago's 25th District Police Station, an apparent measles outbreak inside of it. So we started asking questions.
And tonight, the city answered, now telling CBS 2 they do not consider this a public health crisis.
So are they covering for the immigrants, the illegals? You saw that police stations had they had illegals sleeping everywhere. Wicked, I don't think I can hear you. Wicked, if you're there, I'll keep playing. Let me know.
CBS 2's Andrew Ramos is live outside the 25th District, piecing all of this together. Andrew.
That's right, Chris and Dana. When CBS 2 started asking questions about the situation here at the 25th District, that notice promptly came down. Now, tonight, the city maintains that while a measles outbreak here is unlikely, they still plan to monitor this situation. It's not exactly the notice you want to see posted outside your local police district. This facility has been contaminated by...
Hey, Wicked, if you're there, I can't hear you. You might be on a phone call or not. You can always just write in the chat if there's an issue, and then just come out and come back in, yeah?
A measles outbreak. A sign posted out front of the 25th Police District said, by entering, you are agreeing to accept this risk. According to police sources, the sign, which CBS 2 first took note of Sunday morning, was posted after supervisors believed 3 cases of measles were reported inside the building. Sources say that a supervisor sent out a message to staff alerting them about the possible cases. It's unclear when exactly that happened.
It's not a disease to take lightly.
After our inquiries, a city spokesperson said precautions were taken, but calls a measles outbreak here very unlikely. Doctors say caution is necessary because measles is one of the world's most contagious diseases. It's spread by close or direct contact through sneezing or coughing and could cause a lot of health issues, even death, if you are not vaccinated.
You can have 1 to 3 out of 1,000.
I got you now, yeah. Welcome back. Hey, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Wicked, I got you on the stream twice, actually. Let me try again. I'm going to type. And I've got you both on.
1,000 kids end up dying from measles, and it can also cause serious complications like encephalitis, brain swelling, which can cause permanent brain damage.
In a statement to CBS 2 News, a city spokesperson said officials are monitoring this situation, also adding normal operations have resumed for the 25th Police District
Wow, why am
station.
I muted? I don't have any sound.
Hey, did that work? Did that work? Can you hear me?
I don't have any John sound.
I can hear you.
I can't
Can you hear me?
anything.
Wicked, can you hear me? We're having some issues here. How about in the chat? Can you see the chat? Try one more
It is
time.
important to note that due to high vaccination coverage, vaccine preventable diseases like measles are rare in the U.S., and most Chicagoans are protected through routine childhood vaccination.
Right, but the people who are coming across the border, you don't know if they have those vaccinations. Why does I mean, okay, I put this in. So they said they had measles, and as soon as it's scared, suddenly now every doctor is coming forward saying, no, that didn't happen. No, that's okay. Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Oh, my phone got
All right,
funky
cool.
for a minute.
So did you see about the measles outbreak?
Well, you know what? That's to be expected because these people are not like, inoculated like we are.
Right.
Measles is so dangerous.
And the doctor said, oh, don't worry, Chicagoans have been vaccinated. Yeah, but you don't know about the kids or the people who are coming here. It's not like you're doing a background check, so you don't know. And look how they're going to bat now, saying, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it.
Into the facts this afternoon, there is no outbreak of a contagious disease where migrants are staying. We first told you about this sign posted outside of a Chicago police station over the weekend, warning of a measles outbreak.
But it's not measles. Today, CBS 2's Tara Molina learned what's really going on, and she joins us live from the 25th District Police Station. Tara.
Erica and Jim, there hasn't been one confirmed case of measles here in Chicago, according to the city's top doctor. She said there could be some possible chickenpox cases here, but even those haven't been confirmed yet. The sign that started it all, this posted on the door into the 25th District Police Station, where migrants are staying right now, over the weekend. Quote, this facility has been contaminated by a measles outbreak. By entering, you're agreeing to accept this risk. CBS 2 has been pressing the city for answers since, like why this is the extent of their notice on an outbreak of a contagious disease on city property. Turns out
They know the answer, right? Why do they fucking ask that stupid question?
It's
Now,
all ridiculousness.
I mean, it could be a prank, but it could also be that they were just trying to let people know and they didn't want it to be caught by the news.
Right.
I don't know.
You know what? That sign came from somewhere. That sign was posted for a reason. I don't think it was a prank.
Right.
I mean, just because we haven't had a widespread outbreak, yeah, most people in Chicago are, inoculated against the measles, but not everybody, because some people don't believe in that kind of thing. And I swear to God, I'm like, all this stuff is so relatable to me. I had a brother-in-law who got the measles as an adult, and it destroyed his health. Absolutely destroyed his health. Because his parents never had him inoculated.
So he never had an attenuation or a weakened version of the virus.
Nope. And he got measles as an adult. He was in his 30s. And I'm telling you, it destroyed him. And it led to his death. The complications from having measles as an adult led to his death.
I'm sorry that happened.
measles is, no, he was a bastard. He should have died.
Man, divested 100%.
Okay, I don't have no sympathy for him because he was a bad look. He was a woman beater. He beat my sister so much she developed epilepsy.
Jesus, fuck him. I'm glad he's dead.
Right, that's what I said. Oh well.
You see? Do you see my You see my avatar?
Yes.
You know my avatar is?
What's your avatar? Because I've seen that.
It's a millstone.
Hey,
Matthew 18:6.
I like it.
You cause any of these children to stumble and turn from me, a millstone should be hung from your neck, and you should be flung into the sea. Something along those lines.
I agree with that.
All right, let's. Me too. Leave the kids alone. Here, I also got one Dusty story. DZ might cover it. I think it's out of Atlanta too.
Okay.
Maybe you'll get it here first.
There is no
And then of course I got one Philly story.
outbreak.
Okay.
In fact, according to Dr. Allison Arwady, who leads the Chicago Department of Public Health, there isn't one confirmed case of the measles here.
There is not a rise in measles cases in Chicago. In fact, there has not been a single measles case diagnosed in Chicago recently.
Dr. Arwady went on to explain there were migrants staying here showing signs of a rash, and they were immediately taken for medical treatment. But they do not have measles, and nothing has spread to others. We're told this building has resumed normal operations, and there's no measles concern here or elsewhere. So who posted the sign? Folks with the Chicago Department of Public Health said it wasn't them. We asked Interim Police Superintendent Fred Waller Monday.
We're looking into that, and also CDPH is also looking into it to see if it was verified. Did anyone have measles? So far, we have not seen that, but they're still looking into it, and we're looking into who might have put that sign.
All right, so we don't know.
Somebody put it up there.
All right.
But you know what? Probably one of the cops who saw the rash and said something, and somebody was like, "Oh hell no." But who knows? Who knows?
All right, so yeah, I just want to do that comparison about how they treat the homeless versus how they treat the illegals. That fascinates me.
Where I live, okay, I live on the north end of the city. I live at the beach, and there's a field house literally across the street from me. I came home the other day, and there were about 300 of these, migrants across the street from me, and they were lining up to get those IDs. Women, children, they were like Hispanic. There was a lot of Venezuelans there. There was a lot of Haitians. There were a few Africans. There were some Russians. It was I would say half were men, and then the other half were women and children. And they lined up at the field house across the street from me to get those IDs. I got to witness that when I came home from work.
What did you think about that?
Well, you know what? First of all, they were making an unholy mess of the field house. And I was like,
please explain.
Well, just trash everywhere. I was like, a lot of them had gotten there, I guess, in the middle of the night. And, and it was a lot of garbage. It was a lot of garbage in a place that's like really super clean. And some of them really did look a little scary. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm being honest. Some of them look scary.
The men.
There were men that looked like grown ass young men, hale and hearty. I mean, they weren't looking like skinny little refugees, barely breathing air. No, they look nice and healthy and hearty and of age to join the military. Okay, that's all I got to say. I was like, what is this? And I was thinking, are they going to house these people across the street from where I live? But they were just there to get like the IDs. and then they went back to whatever, shelters they were living at.
But those shelters aren't for the homeless, right?
No, the homeless got tents. Some of the homeless got tents because there's a park near me where I live. There's a lot of different parks. I live on the lakefront. There's lots of parks.
You don't got to go too much into where you live.
The parks, we had like a couple of parks where we had a lot of homeless people that lived there. They cleared them all out. They're all empty now.
Where'd they go?
Cleaned out the homeless. I don't know where they went, but they're not around here anymore. And those people, I have my own personal charity. And so what I do is I collect money and like I put together goodie bags for like people who are homeless. And I put in what I think are like, necessary things for them, especially for women who are homeless. And now they're all gone now. They cleared them all out. But they brought in all the the people from Venezuela and Haiti and wherever the hell else.
Haiti.
So now we got all of them in my neighborhood instead of the homeless that we had in the neighborhood.
And the Haitis and the Venezuelans are going to meet Blackistan.
And they're not going to like it. They're not going to like it because black people in Chicago are a different ball game.
Oh yeah, I've seen that the beaches were closed down. Hey, speaking of Blackistan, I got 4 stories for Blackistan.
All right.
We got Philadelphia. We're kind of recapping some things that have happened over the past week because I missed you last week.
I love doing your show.
My show, yeah. You mean where we watch videos and we talk shit?
Okay, hey, why not? But you know what? We're giving out real opinions and not filtered through like, the PC stuff. I give you my honest opinion.
I'll tell you what, after I have the 4th story I have is DC. Can I give my prediction and what I think is going to happen? It's nothing good, unfortunately. So this was Philly. I think this was Philly. Is this Philly? No, this is Atlanta. Let's do Philly first.
A new video shows the man police say shot and killed a 15-year-old on a SEPTA bus. As police search for the shooter and a person of interest, the teenager's family tells us they are heartbroken and angry. Our Marcus Espinoza with the story.
This high school behind me, Roxborough High School, has been through enormous tragedy this year as yet another high school student was gunned down, this time a 15-year-old riding the bus trying to make it home. I spoke with his mother about how she's grieving and trying to understand how this happened.
He was a special boy. He was loved by young and old.
This is 15-year-old Randy Mills, small in stature but mighty in personality, his mom telling Fox 29. He's one of the latest shooting victims in the city of Philadelphia and remarkably the second Roxborough High School student killed by gunfire this year. He was gunned down on a SEPTA Route 23 bus near the 5200 block of Germantown Avenue late Wednesday night.
I got a call saying we believe Randy got shot. And I said, huh? And of course, I was shocked.
Less than 48 hours later, his mother is now planning his funeral. She had to wait until Thursday morning to find out it was, in fact, her son, and he was gone. What was the last thing he said to you?
He said, I love you. I'll be home early. And what you cooking?
She's never going to be able to make her son that hot, home-cooked meal ever again. But now she has words not just for the shooter, but for this man. Philadelphia police releasing surveillance footage of the suspected shooter and also a person of interest who Randy's mom says.
So let me just do something real fast here. Tell me if you've heard the story. Words were exchanged, which led to a fight or a gunfire. This guy got on the bus. They had an argument, from what I see, and then he shot him and killed him.
Yeah, it's just that.
I don't know if it was a beef. I don't know if they were rappers. But not only is this terrible, but the second suspect, you want to see what the second suspect did?
Yeah.
Here's another reason why people divest.
Who Randy's mom says appears to rifle through Randy's body as he lay dying, looking for things to steal.
A ghoul. That's a ghoul.
What do you think about that?
That's a ghoul. Who robs the dead? That's a ghoul.
Not dead, dying.
You know what? There are people out there who, and I just had this conversation with my son. There are people out there who are they're just here on this planet. They are just taking up space. They are completely worthless. In another time and place, I don't know, cholera, some disease would have taken them out. But now they live, and they just they take up space, and they just do harm everywhere they can. They just shit on everything.
Yes, SEPTA actually now said you're not allowed to wear masks anymore on the subway or on the bus.
What?
They're finally acknowledging that black kids that wear Pusheisty masks are going to cause trouble. So they're trying to say that on subway platforms, they're saying that too many shootings and beatings have occurred where blacks are wearing masks. So they're saying you're not allowed to wear masks or hoodies or Pusheisty masks anymore. Now that's going to lead to more violence and death, because you can't tell a Dusty no.
Oh no, they're gonna do what they want to do. They are going to do what they want to do, and what they want to do is run wild over the rest of us.
Yeah, well, all right. So, and if I may, what this guy was referencing to was, this is the high school that got District Attorney Larry Krasner in the hot seat last year. Let me give some statistics. In Philadelphia, this school year, 130 students have been shot and 25 students have been killed this school year.
What? Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. Roxborough High School had 5 black kids who got out of 3 cars, and they opened fire at a football practice, and they killed this 14-year-old Latino kid. And that was the shooting that got District Attorney, the Soros-funded small hat District Attorney Larry Krasner, on the hot seat. And it was the first time that a lefty-leaning newscaster pushed back on him. I'll tell you what, I can pull that up after the videos if you want.
Okay, yeah, let's see that.
You can see him foaming at the mouth. It's the Republicans. It's the Republicans. And the lefty Democrat-leaning guy said, there's been 1,000 homicides in 20 months. I didn't know that number.
That's insane.
Right. There's a black cop I follow. His channel's called L.A. Wilkes. He's a black cop from Philly. He's quitting after 17 years because the last shootout he was in was that guy who had an AK-47 on the second story, and he shot 6 cops. LA says he was there shooting at him, but he said basically Larry Krasner was elected in. He started letting all the Dusties loose and not charging them with gun crimes. That's what's going to happen in Chicago with
Brandon.
Yeah. Yeah. He said that he was dropping all the gun charges, and he was dropping all the murder down to aggravated assault, and he got caught. But it was that shooting at Roxborough High School that got the Pennsylvania Senate on his ass. Now, I still don't think anything. He should be in prison, because after he got found in contempt, he started refunding the police, and he started an anti-carjacking task force. He should be buried under a fucking jail. I don't know why the Pennsylvania Senate didn't fucking make an example out of him. They stopped. I don't know why, but it makes me think they're complicit, you know?
Wow. Yeah.
I'll pull up that Roxborough shooting if you want to see it. But here, this is it. Here's a story right out of Atlanta. I'm sure DZ is going to play tonight.
Merciless beating of a 6-year-old boy allegedly at the hands of his mother's boyfriend. This is exclusive video of police taking his mother, Portia Wells, to jail. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Russ Spencer.
This story perfectly exemplifies what the divested community is talking about. They blame the woman and they let the Dusty go.
I'm Courtney Bryant Wells and her boyfriend, Napoleon Aites, both face multiple child cruelty and battery charges. Fox 5's Brittany Edney is live outside the Clayton County Magistrate Court with new details. And Brittany, one of them is able to post bail.
Yeah, Courtney, that's right. Within the past 24 to 48 hours, both Aites and Wells have gone before a Clayton County Magistrate Court judge. For Wells, she was denied bond based on those charges. But as for Aites, he has that option available, although there are certain conditions included.
Therefore, your total bond is $6,500. Do you understand the choice?
A mammy. A fucking man. $650. He'll have 10%.
You know, I know all about this story, and I really hope DZ covers this. I read all about this story. I mean, basically, he tortured that kid for days, and she was like,
Because
So
she sees her son.
she don't give a damn about her kid. She's just trying to get. She was
No.
with the dude. She didn't give a shit about that kid. I think
I
at
meant the
one
judge.
point he even told her to leave the room so he could keep on doing what he wanted to do to that kid, and she did.
Yeah.
So you know what? But the fact of the matter, that that she got that bail. I mean that he was allowed to put up that kind of bail. What? And she was denied bail. Okay, he was the one that actually did it, but she did allow it because they were a team.
Well, no offense. What was she going to do besides maybe leave and call? I can understand if she left and called 911. Like, no offense. What is she going to do physically?
I don't know. You know what? Maybe defend her child. Because if that was my child, there is no way on God's green earth I would allow anybody to do anything to my child. Period. There would be a fist fight. You know what? She was pretty chunky there. She could have did something. She wasn't no little skinny petite thing. But she was so happy to have this Dusty in her bed that she allowed him to torture her child to death. That's a mammy and a Dusty.
Like, I guess, like I could say, like, I could understand if she's been beaten by him before and she walked outside and called 911. I mean, I understand what you're saying. Like, she should have done something, grabbed a gun, a pipe, a knife. I'm just trying to say that from working with women who have been beaten before, that's a typical, they don't think that they support their abuser and they think it's their fault. I'm not trying to say what she did was right. I'm just saying that having worked in the medical field around women who have been beaten, they honestly believe, like, put it this way, like, have you ever worked with like bully breeds that have been beaten as a puppy?
No.
We have a 90-pound pit bull, and maybe this isn't relative, but he doesn't know he's a 90-pound pit bull because he was beaten as a puppy. So I think it's similar with children who have been beaten, that they're more susceptible to be beaten again because as a child, they don't understand that they can fight back. Because when you're so young and so small, you blame yourself, and you also think there's nothing you can do, Like, how does a 4 or 5-year-old fight a man or even an adult woman?
Right, that sort of learned helplessness.
Right, correct. I'm not saying that, and I'm saying at some point, like, it's her responsibility to deal with that and protect her children. But I'm just trying to say that someone who's worked with women and young boys, like, I'm not saying what she did was right. I'm not trying to excuse it. I'm just trying to say that if this guy beats a child, I wouldn't be surprised that he beats her.
Oh, I'm sure that he laid hands on her too, because
Yeah.
if you're a violent person, you're a violent person.
Right.
I'm sure he probably, as Cynthia G says, laid hands and feet on her too.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
she should have toe tagged him.
you know what? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. She should have sent him to his ancestors. But the fact is that she didn't, because she valued having that Dusty more than she valued having her child alive.
Right.
So
Right.
no, I don't look at him or her any differently. Well, actually, I do. I look at her because that was your child. I look at him like, you are just human garbage. The fact that you would do something like that, you are just human garbage.
A millstone.
But I look at her like, but you allowed it. So
Yeah.
it's they're together. They're two sides of the same coin. They're together. Together, they allowed that child to be beaten to death.
Yeah.
So neither one of them should have had bail. Both of them should have just been thrown into a damn volcano.
And I can't believe they gave this motherfucker 10%, $650.
That's all that child's life was worth, apparently.
What do you think about this judge?
You know what? That judge is a piece of human garbage. That's a piece of human garbage. A child who was tortured to death's life is only worth basically $600. $600, and you can be out on the street again.
I'm not trying to be a mammy for that woman. You're right. At some point, she got to make a decision. It's her life or her child. That's her responsibility as the mother.
Right. Why have a child? Why bring a child into the world and then treat it like garbage? If you don't want it, give it to a relative. Give it, I hate to say give it to the foster care system, because who knows? That child will be trafficked and disappear, and you'll never see that child again. But give it to a relative. Something.
Yeah.
I when it comes to like motherhood, the mother bear in me just like rises up like, ah.
No, of course. I mean, I have two girls. I understand.
Mm-hmm. So, like I said, I don't fault either one of them more than the other. I say they were a team in that child's tragic death.
Yeah.
I fault them both.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to say, like, if she was afraid of him and she's been beaten within an inch of her life, call 911. Tell your neighbor. Go outside. Cry for help. But,
yeah, don't go get your nails done and go to work.
Yeah.
That's the callousness that I'm looking at her like, all of this was happening and you went to go get your nails done and you went to work, and it was just like, everything is normal. Everything is no, your child is dying.
Yeah, that's the argument I have against people who have had really bad backgrounds, and people say shit like me. Oh, well, they've had a really bad upbringing. And it's like, well, you've had that upbringing, so you should understand what it's like to do it to someone else. Right?
Mm.
You should be more sympathetic, not less.
But somehow for some people it doesn't translate, because that's the path they know. That's what they know. And so it's not, they don't overcome it. They don't rise above it. This is the path and they're following along that path. I don't get it, but I've seen it. I've seen it up close and personal and in real time. The same sister I just talked about, whose husband beat her until she had epilepsy, the very same sister husband was abusing their kids. And when we tried to interfere with it, She told us, mind our business.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's that psychological thing. It's like it almost becomes normalized to them, and so they accept it as okay for their children.
Yeah, they do. They think this is just what we do. This is the path we're
Right.
on, you know?
Well, that's the argument against grooming children.
Yeah.
It's you're trying to normalize a certain behavior
Yes.
that we oppose.
And that is a big thing, like, you know, that DZ talks about, and that like other people like Cynthia, who's not a divester, they talk about that, this is the environment that Blackistan has created that people accept as normal. It's not normal. It's horrible.
You want to hear what they did to the kid?
Yeah.
We'll hit the next video.
Let's go through this.
A millstone.
Torches loaded the bottom out. Yes, ma'am.
A Clayton County judge tells 36-year-old Napoleon Aites that if he's able to post bail, he must stay away from the 6-year-old boy he's accused of severely beating.
Oh, that'll protect them.
Okay, well, there's a no contact, which means you must stay away, absolutely, directly, indirectly.
And he also cannot return to the home of his girlfriend, 33-year-old Portia Wells.
So you're prohibited from returning to the incident location.
Investigators say Aites accused the child of stealing money over the weekend and then severely beat him for days as his mother stood by and watched. The little boy is in the hospital fighting for his life. Police say the beatings left him with broken bones, blood clots in the lungs, severe bruising, and bleeding on the brain. Wells appeared before a judge late Thursday morning who detailed the charge.
Is this a different judge? Is this the same judge?
Hold on. That's the same
It's
judge.
a different judge. Is it the same judge?
Yeah, that's the same judge. That's the same chick, right?
Is that her same? No, she's got different hair.
Looks about the same to me.
Boyfriend Napoleon.
Oh, yeah, this is different. This is a different one.
Excessively cause physical.
It's a different judge?
Different judge. Different judge.
Okay. If it was the same judge, I was going to freak the fuck out.
Still a mammy, though. That's still a mammy.
She is a fucking mammy.
That's still a damn mammy.
In hands.
Due to the charges, the judge denied bond. Investigators detail how Wells not only didn't help her,
Look at the handcuffs.
denied bond.
Look how they have two pairs of handcuffs because they can't get her hands behind her back. You see that?
Yeah. She didn't miss any meals, did she?
How Wells not only didn't help her son, but casually went about her daily life while the boy needed medical help.
She went about her daily life. She went to work. She went and got her nails did. Horrible what this baby had to endure.
Where's the smoke for the man? Where's the smoke for the Dusty?
Women are always blamed more. It's just it's the nature of the beast. That's the world we live in. A man and a woman could do the same thing, but the woman is going to be condemned even more. Misogyny.
Well, at least in Blackistan. At least in Blackistan, you are.
Oh, definitely in Blackistan.
That's so weird.
Blackistan hates black women and revere black men.
All right, you ready for this one? This is Chicago. This just happened yesterday.
Say on the south side, a fairy tale turned into a nightmare. That is how the death of a beloved father here
I'm gonna get a drink. I'll be right back and let it play. Can you hold it down?
Okay.
Thank
is
you.
being described by his mother. He was gunned down just days after seeing his three sons, all star baseball athletes, lead Kenwood Academy to the Public League Championship and also saw them graduate from high school.
Simeon was his heart. It was his heart. I can just see him now in this, like I have Angel in the outfield now.
Hundreds of mourners released balloons from the Simeon Academy baseball field, where 36-year-old Kevin Thunderbird starred in the outfield.
He was the center fielder, and all the coaches just loved him.
The 2005 Simeon graduate was fatally shot late Monday night in Hyde Park when someone in a passing vehicle opened fire.
I hope they catch him. I pray that they catch him. Because it would take a complete devil to do something like this to a man like that.
Thunderbird's athletic talent went straight to his three sons, all of whom star on the Kenwood Academy baseball team, winning the public league title just days before their father's death.
The last 2 weeks, we made him so proud. His three baby boys won a city championship, graduated high school, man. We all went to prom together.
Dad, your name will always be lived on. We're going to do big things for you, and our last name going to forever be something great.
His two oldest sons now bound for college on scholarships. Kevin Jr. for baseball to Rusk College in Mississippi, and Kavion to Arizona State on a football scholarship.
He finally got to see them do the championship. He got to watch. They walked across the stage. It was like a fairy tale the last few weeks, and for it to turn into such a nightmare here, it's overwhelming.
And Thunderbird's third son couldn't be here tonight. He's actually down in Florida playing baseball in a scouting tournament there.
All right, what'd I miss?
They were talking about the guy who's whose kids were star athletes like he was back in the day, and what a tragedy it was that he was gunned down.
Can I go back over the mom?
Yeah.
So Chicago. I'm sure he was gunned down by a MAGA wearing white supremacist, though, right?
Yeah.
Walking down the south side of Chicago with white MAGA hats and bleach and a noose, right? Just like Jesse Smollett told me.
Right, yeah, because that's so common.
Right?
We see so many people with MAGA hats in Chicago.
Oh yeah.
Park when someone in a passing vehicle opened.
I wanted to play the mom's interview, and I wanted to ask a question.
Okay.
This is something I don't know. This is something I, as a white guy, I don't understand about your community.
Fire.
I hope they catch him. I pray that they catch him. Because it would take a complete devil to do something like this to a man like that.
Thunderbird's athletic talent went straight to his three sons, all of whom star on the Kenwood Academy baseball team, winning the public league title just days before their father.
Do the championship. He got to watch. They walked across the stage. It was like a fairy tale the last few weeks, and for it to turn into such a nightmare here, it's just.
So is that his mom?
No, that I don't think that's his mom. I think that's just somebody. But she did know him. They didn't say if it was his mother. Maybe she's a family representative.
Do you think this woman cried over George Floyd?
Oh, she did.
Do you think she marched in protest and said, "We being hunted"? But she got no smoke for the guy who killed this dude.
Oh,
we remember his life, and we'll release balloons. But if a white cop kills a person who put a gun against a woman's stomach with 5 other men, a home invader who dies overdose, I got to burn down the city. But no smoke for someone who murdered a family member of mine, right?
You know what? Look, this chick is doing what mammies do. The tragedy of it all. Yeah, it's a tragedy, but you know what? This is what happens because this is black male culture. They kill each other for no reason. This is black male culture. Black men are destroying the black community. And I'd
argue.
No,
I'd argue further, but
no.
I
could go way far because you know what? I like whenever DZ says something, I swear I just want to go yes and yes and yes and yes. There is no dissent from me when those ladies, start talking. I am with them 100 freaking percent. As a matter of fact, I'm shocked that I was able to find a community of women that think exactly like me. I'm shocked because I've never seen it before.
I'm happy you found that community. I'm again personally, I'm happy I found it too because like I said, I like the message that she talks about. She found a group of people to try to save, and she tries to save them, and she does one-on-ones. That
Yeah.
and I told you that story she played of that heavier girl who got married to a Puerto Rican.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that? That was a great
Yeah.
story. She was crying and she said, "I found me a Puerto Rican." That was a really nice story. And she's like, or when she had her church service and she was showing different like zaddies, like she showed a Korean zaddy and a Latino zaddy and a white zaddy and an Asian zaddy, and she was like, there are so many other men you can try. Why not try and find someone who can love you?
Exactly. Why not go where you're appreciated?
Right. And
Yeah. No,
personally, personally, and I've told you that I see her channel from the white community. I see her channel as a blueprint to try to save some of my people because I told you my wife's friends went to a PWI in the middle of the woods, and some of her friends have now convinced themselves that they're not allowed to have children because they'll abuse and become colonizers. Yet, one of her friends met a Greek man from Greece who's a devout Greek Orthodox Christian. And he has a powerful family ties, and he loves his culture and he loves his family. And 1 year meeting him, and now she wants children. And that's all it took was a strong man.
Mm-hmm.
And I told my wife, I said, I want our children, I want our daughters to act like him. No shame. And that's what I try to use DZ's channel as. I'm happy every time a woman goes on that channel and says, "You saved my life. You convinced me to walk away from people who don't care about me." And I wish to use that as a blueprint for my people. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Go where you're appreciated. I don't get this whole, we have to be so damn liberal that we lose common sense and we lose every sense of who we are. There is nothing wrong. This sounds. I was in a discussion on a different site, and somebody said something about, but if white people just want to stay, hang around white people, that's a problem. And I said to this
Why
person,
is that a problem?
This is what this person said. And I said, why would I care if white people want to hang around white people? Because I belong to groups that are exclusively Black women. Why can't we have situations where we just want to hang around our own? It doesn't offend me. Now, if it's like, a bunch of KKK members hanging around on each other, talking about how we're going to kill the niggers, well, maybe I got a problem with that. But
sure.
If one group wants to hang around just themselves and be exclusive just with themselves, okay, well, why the hell not? Do we get angry when we see people who have the small hats? Okay, I'm trying to be nice. When they want to have their exclusive communities, do we get angry about that?
But they're allowed to.
They're allowed to. So why can't other groups of people?
Well, other groups can. It's only one group is not allowed to. Then the FBI gets involved.
Well, you know what?
That's
If you're trying to cause murder and mayhem, yeah, maybe the FBI should be involved. But if you're just doing your thing and you're celebrating yourselves and you're like all about, hey, this is my Irish pride, this is my whatever. Okay, what's wrong with that? That's good. You know what? I'm so Look, I'm an American, and my family has been in this country for a minimum of about 150 years that we know about. And we have and we operate in a little sub segment of the Black community because my family is Gullah Geechee. Why can't you preserve your heritage? What's wrong with that? Why do you have to be washed out into nothing?
Can I play an interview?
Yeah.
That Muhammad Ali did in Britain?
Okay.
And let me say that you remember that story about that gas station where DZ played a woman who came in, a black woman. It was owned by Asians, and she destroyed everything when she couldn't buy something. And that wasn't the first time she had destroyed the station. And the Chinese people said, "Okay, no more blacks."
Well, who can blame
Like this is the thing. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, see, I feel like when I talk about something, I try to bring up, well, let's see what he says. And the British guy terrifies me. He terrifies me. This is years ago.
We clean their own neighborhoods. And another thing, when you say integration, it comes on the intermarriage too, right? All being together.
Right, sure.
And I'm sure no intelligent white person watching this show, or no intelligent white man in his or her right white mind, want black boys and black girls marrying their white sons and daughters, and in return introducing their grandchildren as half brown, kinky-haired black people.
I wouldn't object to that.
Well, you wouldn't, but a lot of them would.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people. No, this is the point.
What I'm trying to say is this. You don't have it. You say you don't, but you don't have it. You really ain't gonna have it. You're on the show, and you got to say that. But
that's not true.
Why would you want to do that?
Because I don't.
I'll play the whole thing, then we'll go back.
Okay.
I don't think I'm any different from you see.
Yeah, we much different.
I mean, I think society's made us different.
You know we're different. If we all together.
But society's made us different.
No, not society. God made us different.
No, we're just human beings. He made all of us.
We all listen. Bluebirds fly with bluebirds. Red birds want to be with red birds. Listen. Tell me when I'm wrong. Pigeons want to be with pigeons. Tell me when I'm right. We should have. They don't have intelligence, but yet they stay together. We should have more intelligence than them, right? Buzzards are with buzzards. Buzzards are with buzzards. Bluebirds are with bluebirds. They all are birds, but they got different cultures. The eagles like to hang out in the mountains. The buzzard like to fly around the desert.
Well,
the bluebird like to fly around the trees and the grass.
Certain problems a buzzard mating with a sparrow, wouldn't there?
What?
There be certain.
Right. And we have the problems too. No, I don't see no black and white couples in England or America walking around proud, holding their children.
That's because society
and going out.
That's society's fault. I mean, we've got to educate people around it.
Well, life is too short for me to be raised catching hell for something like that. I'd rather go and be my own. I have a beautiful daughter, beautiful wife. They look like me. We're all happy, and I don't have no trouble. I have no trouble. I ain't that much in love with no woman to go through all that hell. Ain't no one woman that good. You understand?
I understand. Yeah, I do understand. I understand. I think it's sad that
it ain't sad because I want my child to look like me. Every intelligent person wants his child to look like him. I'm sad because I want to blot out my race and lose my beautiful identity. Chinese love Chinese. They love the little slanted-eyed, pretty brown-skinned babies. Pakistanis love their culture. Jewish people love their culture. A lot of Catholics don't want to marry number Catholics. They want the religion to stay the same. Who want to spot up yourself and kill your race? You a hater of your people if you don't want to stay who you are. You shame what God made you. God didn't make no mistake when he made us all like we were.
I think that's a philosophy of despair.
Despair.
I really do.
It ain't no despair.
Number
one, can't no woman. Let me tell you something. Well, I want to tell you. Listen, no woman on this whole earth, not even a black woman in Muslim countries, can please me and cook for me and socialize and talk to me like my American black woman. No woman, and last is a white woman, can really identify with me and my feelings and the way I act and the way I talk. And you can't take no Chinese man and give him no Puerto Rican woman and holler about we're in love and you emotionally in love and physically, but really they're not happy because she's gonna hear some Puerto Rican music, he's gonna hear some Chinese music, and they're gonna be clashing all the time.
You ever heard this before?
You know what? I never heard this before, but I have heard this argument before. And I've heard this argument a lot. In a way, yes, I agree with Muhammad Ali. I think he was a very wise man. I think he was way ahead of his time, and I think he was a very wise man. On the other hand, you know what? There are people like me who I'm divested, right? I do not deal with men of my race, period. Why don't I deal with men of my race? Because they don't add up to what I need in a mate and for what I admire in a man. So if I have to compromise and go be with somebody who is not of my race, not of my culture, that I will do that, because in the end, what I'm looking for is a man with masculine energy. And a lot of Black women believe the whole lot, they want to be with a Black man and they have to have Black children. And what are they actually doing? What are they actually putting up with? They're putting up with a whole lot of bullshit because Black men are not doing what they're supposed to do. You got these Black babies, yeah, but you got a man who doesn't want to raise them. You got a man who doesn't want to show them what a man is supposed to be. Black culture, this gonna sound, I don't care how it sounds, because it's how I feel.
No. Just as much channel.
Black
Say what you gotta
culture
say.
is a fucking failure. It's a failure because Black men don't want to do what men do. And if Black women want to walk around and find better options, I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not one of those people that say, white men are wonderful, Asian men are wonderful, Hispanic men are wonderful, everybody's wonderful except Black people. I'm not saying that. I'm saying most of Black culture, most of the Black men I've ever seen. But I do know some good ones. I hate to say that because I hate to do like, here's the exceptions. They're failures as men. And I would rather compromise than be with a failure, than be with an utter failure. So as far as Muhammad Ali saying, the bluebirds want to fly with the bluebirds. Yeah, I want to fly with the bluebirds, but I want to fly with the bluebirds who actually produce and lead. So you know what? Maybe I'm gonna hang around over, with the buzzards, and maybe a buzzard will think I'm cute. Okay, I'd rather have that than have some piece of shit that looks like me, but can't provide, can't treat me with respect, can't treat me the way I want to be treated as a woman. And Black culture has failed Black women, and I'm over it.
There's one thing he really says that I like. When this guy says that's a culture of despair, I like the answer he gives.
Yeah, I do understand. I understand. I think it's sad that
it ain't sad because I want my child to look like me. Every intelligent person wants his child to look like him. I'm sad because I want to blot out my race and lose my beautiful identity.
You know what? There is nothing wrong with wanting to have your children look like you, wanting to replicate that. There's nothing wrong with that. I agree with that. I agree with that. But
I think it's this part.
They want to marry number Catholics. They want the religion to stay the same. Who want to spot up yourself and kill your race? You a hater of your people if you don't want to stay who you are.
I'm applying that to my group because everyone seems to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah, your group is taking on this sense of guilt. Look, in the past, a lot of our ancestors did some real reprehensible stuff, some real nasty, serious, evil shit. Okay. Black people act like all of our ancestors were wonderful. Some of them were shit too. Okay. Look, there's nothing wrong with wanting to hold on to the good things, to wanting to preserve your culture, to wanting to replicate that in yourself. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah, and I agree with your side that you're trying to get the good things, and that's what you want.
I want the good things, but if I can't have the good things over here, you know what? I'm going to look over there, and maybe there's somebody, like I said, over there in a different culture, whole different ball game, that is going to look at me and still appreciate me the way I want to be appreciated as a woman, that hold my values. And yeah, my kid's not going to look like me, but that's okay, because my kid's going to have a better future. You know, some of us don't mind living around the fringes, you know, but I do not fault somebody for saying, I want to preserve my culture. I want to like take care of my people. I want to have children that look like me. I would like for all of this in my area to go forward. I don't blame them.
And you said, and I have a question about something you said. Do you find that to be a masculine feature when a person is proud of who they are, or proud of what they've accomplished, or proud of?
Yes, that is a masculine feature, but I think it's also a human feature. It's masculine when you can actually help, when you can actually bring it about.
When you can create it.
When you can
That's
create
the
yes,
that's the ultimate. That's the ultimate form.
Yes.
Provide, protect, problem solve.
Yes, that is when you are on the upper tier. Okay, that is sexy. That is wonderful. That's the goal. You know, not this, you know, scrounging around the bottom. What can we get? Who can give us something? Never building, or, you know, or doing the bare minimum. No. I'm sorry, but a lot of Black men are utter failures as men. And so if I got to compromise and I got to go marry a Chinese guy, or I got to marry a guy from El Salvador or wherever, I'll compromise. I will take the compromise.
Well, here, I'll tell you what. Do you want to see this thing in D.C., or do you want to see that Roxborough shooting and Krasner on the stand, the hot seat?
Ooh, let's see the hot seat. What's going on? You know, I like juice. I like dirt. I like tea.
All right. So that guy said that this is the second Roxborough shooting.
These poor kids. These poor children. You know, they all have PTSD.
So there was so let me fill in the so Roxborough is just on the edge, right on the edge of Philly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you had a football practice that was happening here, and these 3 cars roll up, and 5 black kids, 5 dusties, get out the car, ages like 15 to 21, and they open fire at the football practice.
Because that's what they do.
Yeah, and they unfortunately kill this 14-year-old Latino kid. Now, I'll play this video, and then I'll have to look for the Krasner interview. That's like a 10-minute interview. I'll play the video first, just so I'll try to bring the receipts so you can see what happened first.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll find the interview with Krasner. And do you want to go over that interview?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
New clues in the all-out search for the gunman who ambushed a group of Philadelphia high school football players. Surveillance video shows 5 shooters getting out of a light-colored SUV, unleashing a barrage of bullets outside Roxborough High School. Yesterday's ambush shooting left 1 teen dead and 4 others hurt. It is Wednesday afternoon, as we said, a very busy one.
But Biden had to go to Howard University and tell them that white supremacy is the most dangerous thing in our nation, right?
You know, that old man needs to go sit his ass down with Dianne Feinberg.
Oh, Feinstein, Jesus.
Oh yeah, Feinstein.
She's almost as bad.
Okay.
She's almost the small hat. She's almost as bad as Fetterman.
I'm Brian Tapp.
And
The Democrats really have no problem using medically handicapped people for their agenda, don't they?
I'm Sarah. Lindquist, the chilling video was released during an update from investigators this afternoon. They say it appears to be a targeted attack, although the motive remains unclear. We're covering this story from multiple angles this afternoon. Reporter John Paul is taking a closer look at security for school events.
But we're going to begin here with Jillian.
But I thought the police were racist. But I thought the police were slave patrols.
Until you need
Now
them.
we gotta. Yeah, right. But guys, stand your ground, and castle doctrine is racist. You don't need your guns, guys. No, it's okay. You don't, you know.
Jillian Neely today live outside the high school with the latest from investigators. Jillian.
And I can tell you, investigators were back out here earlier today recovering more evidence from the scene, including bullets that struck the back of the school. Police gave an update this afternoon saying they are actively looking for at least 5 people involved in this ambush. They're
opening fire.
This video captures it all. 64 bullets fly after a football scrimmage at Roxborough High School, striking 5 teens. 14-year-old Nicholas Elizalde died after being shot in the chest. The 4 other victims are stable today. Police say the suspects waited at the corner of Peachin and Gate Streets for 6 minutes.
Following the initial barrage of gunfire, 4 of the 5 shooters are observed returning to the suspect SUV. A 5th shooter continues to pursue one of the shooting victims. The victim is ultimately struck by one of the offender's bullets, and he collapses on the sidewalk.
According to police, that victim was a 17-year-old who they believe was not a student at Roxborough and was not a member of the football team, but they do believe he was a target.
The shooter runs up to the victim as he lay helpless on the ground, stands over top of him, and continues firing. The only thing that stopped this individual from firing is that he apparently had run out of bullets and his slide had locked.
So in Philly, that's called walking them down. And that happens a lot. They'll shoot you when you're laying on the ground. They'll stand over you and empty the clip. So they execute you that way.
Brutal. Wow.
Now Joy Reid will never talk about that on MSNBC.
Ooh, I can't stand her.
So yeah, 130 students this year have been shot. 25 have been killed in Philadelphia this school year. Now, Krasner interview. So this was the shooting that got Krasner. Oh man, please tell me I can find it. Yeah, okay, here it is. Is this Fox? Yeah, this is Fox. So this is the small hat guy. This guy is a progressive. He's a small hat. He has sued the police department 75 times. And then somehow he was nominated to be the district attorney for Philadelphia. He fired half of the district attorneys in his office. He started dropping murder charges to aggravated assault. He stopped charging black criminals with gun charges. They just mysteriously disappeared. This was the shooting that got the Pennsylvania Senate up his ass.
It's getting out of control, so it wasn't uncommon to get a phone call like that. Just wasn't something that you wanted to hear.
I don't know who's missing the conversation, but we just have to keep doing as much as we possibly can, because again, this at this point, you just can we don't need to keep having these conversations, and something has to stop, and we're going to work together to figure that out, but it has to be immediate because this can't continue.
District Attorney Larry Krasner joins us now live in.
All right. A millstone. I'm not trying to get Fed posted here, but look, I'm just going to be 100%. If something happened to this guy, if someone took it into their own hands, like Bernie gets this dude, and I was on the trial and I was on the jury, I wouldn't find him guilty or her. You letting him out, bro. His nickname is Let Him Go Larry Krasner. He's a fucking psychopath.
Just have chaos in the streets.
Yeah, you call them agents of chaos, right?
You know, that's what's gonna happen in Chicago. Look at Brandon.
Yeah.
Brandon's gonna let them just kill us all.
This guy is let him go. This guy's a Soros-funded small hat, Larry Krasner. All right, little prediction, little gamble. What do you think he's going to say?
Let's see.
All right, here we go.
We want you, Mayor Kenny, and Commissioner Out.
Much as we possibly
has had
All
it.
right.
So we want you, Mayor Kenny, and Commissioner Outlaw to do something about it.
You know, I was at the location shortly after the shooting. I was there for quite some time. And I have to tell you, it is one of the most heartbreaking cases that we have seen, because we expect our schools to be that safe place where young people go to do things that are constructive, to play football like every one of these victims did, to be in classes like they were, because you have to do that to play football. And when you see kids who are leaving the football field and they're gunned down, and they're between 14 and 17 years of age, it's just absolutely heartbreaking. I completely share the grief of that principal, the families, the neighborhood, the entire city. This is a horrifying situation.
Now, I have an extra. Big Time likes to bring the receipts. I got one extra thing about one of the shooters.
And I totally agree with you that all of government has to be on the same page, and so does all of community. We have to be in a position to work with our faith leaders and to work with our community activists, our community organizations, which we do as much as we possibly can. And I have to tell you, I think that that so does PPD and so does ATF, which was out there yesterday.
But it doesn't seem to be working.
We have a terrible crisis in this country when it comes to gun violence. I don't have good news for you, but I will tell you that the number of homicides this day last year was more. We are a little bit down. There is a leveling after 2 years of going up very significantly. And we're seeing that all over the country. As the pandemic is shutting down, things are getting a little better, but
It's the pandemic, guys. It's not my fault that I'm not punishing one demographic. Your kids, it's the pandemic. Guys, everywhere is violence, so it's not my fault.
lesson here. The lesson is that we were in a shaky position when the pandemic hit, and we should have had a lot more money into things like football, into things like public school, into the things that are necessary for prevention that are constructive. That is the path forward, in addition to cutting edge enforcement. And I've got to tell you, without getting specific, some of the investigative things that are being done in this case are pretty revolutionary, and they're pretty wonderful. It's something the city has needed for a long time. So,
like what?
Yeah, what?
What the fuck is he talking? What the fuck are you talking about, small hat?
Like what? Yeah, exactly. What are you talking about? What? Where's the detail?
Give an example. Give an example. Oh, like what does he mean? Pay more money for football? You think those kids were playing, like, they bring guns to school all the time?
Okay, I don't think those were the football players who had the guns. Then again, I don't know. I don't know what kind of football they got going on over there. Okay, but I don't think those were the football players who had the guns like that. He's like this. I see this. This is a precursor to Chicago under our new mayor. We're going to get a lot of talking out into the freaking stratosphere, saying a whole lot of nothing, and in the end, they're going to let these criminals run amok. I'm looking at this like this is this is a precursor to what's going to happen in Chicago, and I am so freaking glad I'm going to be out of this city within the next 8 months, God willing. I'm done, and I love this city.
Get the fuck out of there.
I am out of here. I have a fantastic opportunity, and I'm doing what I can to fulfill it, and I am freaking out of this city because I'm done. I see what's going to happen under this new mayor, and I'm like, I see the writing on the wall.
Can I bring the receipts real fast?
Yes, sir.
All right. One of the shooters, here's the problem with Krasner. Here's the fucking problem with not punishing black criminals. One of the shooters killed a baby in a crash. Victim of crash involving Roxborough High School shooting suspect speaks out. He killed this woman, Gina Campbell's baby, after crashing into her on a work break in North Philly. He was drag racing, lost control of the car, and hit Campbell, who was 7 months pregnant, in July of 2020 on North Broad Street. Yasim Bivens. He was found guilty of aggravated assault, illegal racing, and causing an accident, but he walked out free on bail.
What?
Yep.
Ooh. Ooh.
CBS 3 wanted to ask
Mm-mm.
CBS 3 wanted to ask Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner why the prosecutor on the case did not ask the judge to jail Bivens as he was awaiting sentencing, but his office wouldn't schedule a sit-down. He declined to talk about it, but Campbell's attorneys representing her civil case had plenty to say. He committed a serious crime. His sentence is supposed to be years. There's no reason, at least from my perspective, as he should have been out on the street at this time.
He killed a freaking
He killed a 7-month-old kid, and they let him go.
Oh my God.
Am I bringing the receipts? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God.
Okay.
There.
So Bivens was one of the shooters. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Go. I'm listening.
Bivens was one of the shooters at Roxborough High School. Had that
Mhm.
motherfucker been locked up, he wouldn't have shot one of those 5 kids.
Exactly.
Or teens.
Exactly.
And it's this motherfucker right here. Why do we tolerate this?
I don't know. But I think I think a reckoning is going to come, and I think what's going to happen is that the pendulum has swung so far to the freaking left that it's got to come back because it's gone too far. They are out of control. This is crazy. This is an affront to civilization.
Wait to hear what he says. This guy's insane.
That's the path. The path is cutting-edge enforcement coupled with a serious investment in prevention. That is what works.
So when it comes to that, because in the same vein of what happened yesterday, Mayor Kinney made his announcement about executive order when it comes to banning guns at rec centers, which is a place where our young...
Now, what the fuck did that have to do with anything?
Nothing.
That was Mayor. So Mayor Kinney banned guns at rec centers. Now I'm gonna give a little credit. In Harrisburg, there is a chapter of the Gun Owners of America. They went to court in Philadelphia and said, yo, what the fuck are you doing? How does banning guns at rec centers stop crime? And they got it overturned. And this is what I mean by the Democrats. This guy is not punishing one group of men who are destroying your city. And your answer is to deny everybody else their right to defend themselves? Do you see why it gets me so upset?
Oh, trust and believe. I understand why you're upset. Look, I just came back from Texas, which is like, you know what? Guns are holy in Texas.
Yeah.
I've never seen so many guns in my life, except when I was in Texas just like a little while ago. I was like, oh, is this what we doing? Okay, this is what we doing, right? And you know what? And everybody was nice and polite.
Really?
Everybody was nice and polite. And I saw a lot of guns. I'm not even gonna lie.
They were open carrying?
Hell yeah, they were
Like you
open
could see
carrying.
them?
I checked into this hotel, right? And this guy walks past me and I'm like, hey, is that a gun? And he was like, yeah. I said, okay.
Man, I might have to move to Texas.
You know what? I'm telling you, while I was down there, I had to, take care of a little business. But my godson
Yeah,
was
sure.
like, hey, let's trade in what you got for something that's a little bit more suitable, because you actually are not Dirty Harry.
But you had a Magnum? You know what?
No.
I'm willing to have that conversation off of
I didn't have,
YouTube, but
but
that's okay.
but what I had was more firepower than I actually need and what I actually can handle, because I've gotten older and I don't have the strength in my hands.
I see.
And so I needed to, downgrade to something that was more suitable. And so I went down to Texas, I had to do a few things, and that was one of the things. And
Okay.
it was
Don't.
awesome. It was I was like, oh my God, I feel completely empowered here. I felt safe.
Being around a bunch of other people.
Mhm.
What was, if you may, what was the demographic makeup?
Well, the people that where I was a military town. Okay, so it was
Okay.
everything and everybody. But the people that I was doing business with were white.
I don't know if
And you
they'd
know
be
what?
like
And
Latino or Indian.
Mhm.
I don't know if they'd be like Latino or Native American. I don't know.
No, the people that I was actually doing business with were white, and I brought down all of my paperwork, from the north, carpetbagger that I am, and and they were so freaking good to me. I look, racism exists. It is what it is. It exists. But not everybody's a damn racist. And there are some people who are some of the biggest breaks, some of the most kind actions I have experienced have been from people who are not Black. And when I was down in Texas, when I was asking questions and stuff, I got a beautiful education. This guy could have been my father. And he was like,
Really?
Mr. Blue eyes, like sky blue freaking eyes. And he was old school, Texas, whatever. But he gave me an education. So I love Texas. Hey.
Okay. Well, I'm happy you could do business, and I'm happy you could come down and profit after the reconstruction. As a carpetbagger.
Right.
Let me. You want me to keep going with the psychopath here?
Yes. This is so good. I am enjoying myself. Yes, keep going.
Okay. I'm happy you could get some stuff that you're able to use. I'm doing the same thing for my wife. This we're coming up soon.
People go. We've had more than 200 gun incidents since 2019 around or near rec centers. Do you agree with this step? Do you think this is a move in the right direction? And are you committing to prosecuting folks if they are charged with having a gun near a rec center?
Yes and yes. I totally agree, and we are committed to prosecuting. What it basically says is whether you got a permit or not, don't bring that gun onto these city properties. I think it's an excellent idea. We will fully enforce it. We just had an arrest a couple days ago of a guy named Fahim Key, who shot and paralyzed a man over a disagreement in a basketball game while that other man was
Fahim,
walking away. That's what actually happened.
Okay.
But you know what? The most important thing is this. We do not just want to be prosecuting people after the crime. We want to stop the crime from happening and save that victim's life.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you didn't put the other pitter, but you let the other guy go.
Right.
You let Bivvies go. What the And I hate that they didn't bring this up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I'm like, but you're letting people who are clearly, obviously dangerous back out on the street.
Right. And
you're letting,
they almost get
business
there.
to society.
They almost get there. They can't. Someone has to say it.
Some folks in Harrisburg want to impeach you. We'll talk about that after this. What is it?
Yeah. This guy's a precursor.
This select.
So now, this is what started the investigation, right? So these 5 people and 2 black Democrats, they wanted to see Krasner's files.
Mm-hmm.
And listen to what he says. When they tell him there were black Democrats on the board, these 5 were assigned to interview him. Listen to what he says.
Historian Law and Order, and it was formed in July in response to the rising crime rate. It consists of 3 Republicans and 2 Democrats. The committee's job is to look at all aspects of law enforcement in Philadelphia and the city's use of law enforcement funding. It can then make recommendations for removal from office or other appropriate discipline. As part of the committee's investigation, a subpoena was issued to Larry Krasner, District Attorney of Philadelphia, for documents. They say he refused to comply with that subpoena, and the House voted 162 to 38 to hold him in contempt. Joining Republicans in the vote were 49 Democrats, including 10 from here in Philadelphia.
What do you think about that? So they're doing it the legal way.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like Florida where the governor stepped in and just said you're done. Although I don't have a problem with that either, because that guy was a Soros-funded DA too.
The corruption just runs deep. Oh man. I wonder. I'm not a conspiracy person, but I swear sometimes I look at this and I'm like, I listen to other people. I'm like, these dots are actually freaking connecting. Like, what is behind all of this? That this guy is doing that.
You know what I learned yesterday?
What?
I'll have to look into it to see if it's true. But when the Armenian parents were fighting with Antifa in California, I think it was Glendale,
Mm-hmm.
I was watching a show called Revenge of the Cis. And it's a white guy and a Cuban guy, and they live in Florida, and they have a show. They've done like 1,000 episodes together. And they just watch clips and make fun of them,
Mm-hmm.
But Mersh, the white guy, he said, "Oh, are the green hats there?" And Mersh, the Cuban, was like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, whenever you see these Antifa guys, whenever you have to look for the green hats, the green hat is usually a lawyer or a law school person who has open ties to the Open Society Foundation or the George Soros's foundation, Open Societies.
Mm.
He's a lawyer. They always have lawyers that are with them in Antifa to bail them out when they get in trouble.
Of course.
He said, and I was like, I got to look into that now. But anyway, so listen to what he says when they tell him that 49 Democrats voted for him to turn over paperwork that he refuses to turn over. If you're so confident in what you're doing, show me the work, right?
Right. Yeah.
Surprised by that. So let's get it straight. Number one, you can't impeach someone for their policies or their ideas. That has never happened in the history of the Commonwealth. It is illegal. Number two, a subpoena was issued to us that asked me to...
It's also illegal to deny me my Second Amendment rights, you motherfucker. You are protected by the police force. Who the fuck are you to tell me I can't defend my children?
Right. He's protected. You're not.
Right. Do I got to pull up the 2020 riots and show the police dressed in riot gear defending City Hall? I hate these people.
A crime, and that crime was to reveal secret grand jury notes of testimony, which is exactly how Kathleen Kane ended her career as a prosecutor and went to jail. I am a law enforcement officer. I'm not going to commit a crime. So when they did that, I went to court about 10 or 12 days before this shenanigan, which was contempt, and I filed a legal action, which is what you do. If you just look at your memory bank on what's going on nationally, anytime there's a subpoena challenge, it goes to court. But this Republican-led MAGA effort didn't like it. So what they did is they misinformed both on the facts and the law, and they went and they got this contempt finding. The whole time that was going on, my lawyers were banging on the door saying, let Krasner talk and explain they're trying to get him to commit a crime. Let him talk and explain that he's filed a 45-page brief so judges can decide.
We'll have to wait.
Well, hold on a second. Let me finish. And they stopped it. They would not let me in the room to say those things.
Yeah, that's because you're not a member of the council, you dumb fuck. The MAGA-led Republicans? Oh, so the Democrats were brainwashed. Oh, I see. So when 10 Democrats in Philadelphia went to Roxborough High School and were like, we're tired of seeing children, particularly dead children, black children primarily, but other children too. There have been a couple whites and Asians and actually more Latino people killed. We're tired of seeing that. So what the fuck are you doing? And he blames it on the MAGA Republicans. You see this shit?
Yeah. Say, you know what? At best, you are disingenuous, sir. At best.
What does a political affiliation have to do with dead children?
Right. Okay. Because the kids weren't political. They were just kids.
I'm so tired of these people.
Is a MAGA effort to erase Philadelphia.
What documents are they looking for?
They are looking for secret grand jury notes of testimony. It is a crime to provide them. They're also trying to get in the middle of the entire case file for a murder case that we are taking to trial on November the 7th. They can't do that. The third thing that they wanted, they mostly already had. They wanted a bunch of policies that have been posted on our website for the entire world for a long time. They knew they were there. We told them they were there. They said they knew they were there. They wanted those, and then they wanted a few others, which we have already provided. This whole notion that we didn't respond is a lie, just like the notion that you can impeach somebody for his policies is a lie.
But the interesting thing is, because you're saying it's GOP-led, you've been saying it's MAGA-led, but there are 10 Democrats who voted for this process to move forward.
The truth is the Democrats were misled. They were told false facts that I had ignored a subpoena. That's a lie. They were never told it was an illegal subpoena. They were misled on the facts, and they were also misled on the notion that...
You notice he's looking away a lot?
Yeah.
You think he's lying?
You know what?
You can have a committee to impeach somebody.
Go ahead, please. You said what? You said he's tap dancing.
Okay, this guy's tap dancing. That's what he's doing. He's tap dancing.
Wait till the one guy does come at him hard, and then he comes back, and you see he's a psychopath in my eyes.
For their policies. If we do that, we end democracy.
Yeah.
Let's get real. If you can erase an election because people in Beaver County don't like what Philly did, which is exactly what's going on here, then there is no elected official in Philadelphia or Pittsburgh who is safe from MAGA Republicans in Beaver County.
We do have some comments from viewers. Malcolm in the control room, could you put up one of those there? Let's see here. Ask Larry Krasner about his impeachment hearing, which we just did on Thursday, Friday. You can also ask him why he keeps letting juveniles back out on the street with gun charges only to end up murdering people. Please ask him some of these questions. Oops. So, DA Krasner, I think you have a perception problem. There is this perception in this city that the reason for all this gun violence is you.
Well, I don't. And I'll tell you why I don't. There was an election. It happened in November. We took more than 2/3 of all Democrats and 72% of the city. There are people who want to put out the idea that there's a perception problem, but the reason we're going through this is they know they cannot defeat these ideas in an election. The areas of the city where we had the highest levels of support, we're talking like 80, 84% levels of support, were the areas most affected by gun violence because they believe in what we're trying to do, which is a combination of moderate enforcement and
that
prevention.
Perception there? You have to admit it's there. Every cop I talk to says it's a too lenient district attorney.
The perception is there for political reasons and only within certain communities. As I said, maybe they could explain why I'm getting 84% support in areas that are most affected by gun violence.
Now, what do you think about that fact? The black community supports him in letting go.
Is he getting that kind of support? Because you know what, that's insane. Because the main people who are the victims of crime, I'm going to assume, are people in the black community. And so for him to say, oh yeah, they support me letting people back out on the streets that just shot your fucking cousin. I'm gonna say I don't know about that. And if it's true, then they are really messed up in that community.
We can bring that up next week. I'm almost out of time if that's okay, but we'll finish this and you see him flip out.
Yeah.
The guy pushes back at him hard with one fact.
Good. Mm-hmm.
Those areas have not been helped by doing things like it was still 1954. They are looking for help, and they're looking for it the way that we are going.
But when it comes to also cases, overall, we know when it comes to cases that have been withdrawn or dismissed, according to your website, 65% of all cases have been withdrawn or dismissed.
65% of all cases have been withdrawn or dismissed.
That's a huge.
So they're not prosecuting.
Huge. Yeah.
They're not prosecuting.
No, they're not. They're letting.
And when he came in, he
run amok.
When he came in, he fired half the department.
He wants them
as soon as he came in. That was the first. Right.
When it comes to gun possession, 49% of them withdrawn or dismissed, and then 66% of violent offense cases have been withdrawn or.
Yeah, see this? Half of the gun charges are withdrawn or dismissed. And who are most of the gun charges in Philadelphia? Which community? Black men,
Dusties?
Black boys, black teens. Dusties, yeah, fair enough. Dusties.
Dismissed. Do you think that that's what people are referring to then? They feel like it's not being prosecuted and people are not being held to
50% of the gun charges are let go. 66% of violence offenses are withdrawn or dismissed.
So just run amok.
Is that right?
Run amok. Kill everybody.
So I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about the data. The fact is our conviction rate for homicide cases when we get to trial is nearly 90%. It is higher than my predecessors, and we're doing it without lying, cheating, stealing, and putting innocent people in jail.
I guess you're talking about the cases actually make it to that.
It is all that's true, and it's also true that we have an extremely high rate of cases getting there.
Look at this stat down here. You see this?
Yeah.
The reality is that a lot of people don't understand what this means. When a judge says, well, there was an illegal search in this case, or 2 police witnesses have not showed up, which just happened the other day, they may throw the case out. Then it's listed as dismissed. It's very simple then for people to say, oh, that's somebody's fault. Let's figure out who. The whole system has to work together. When you have illegal searches, and we have a lot of them, that needs to be fixed. When you have officers who are at home, are not coming to work as a result of problems with our heart and lung system, that's a problem. There are multiple things going on in the system, but it has never been the case before until we had reformed prosecutors where people tried to blame just one entity. We all have to work together, and the reality is.
And you notice how he deflects to the police?
Yeah.
Do you see that?
You know, this guy, I swear, he is like slippery like a freaking eel.
Yes, there's been a stereotype for a certain group of people for centuries. Yes, I know.
Well, I don't know if that was a part of their stereotype. I'm just looking at this guy as an individual, and he's freaking slippery.
Yeah, well.
That we have been more
and
effective.
You are a reformed district attorney. Everybody in the country knows that. But maybe it's not working.
It is working. The reality is that
there's 1,000 people killed in 20 months.
It is working. The reality is when you look at all these different jurisdictions, we have had a devastating blow from the pandemic, and there is absolutely no correlation between being progressive or traditional and the rate of crime.
I don't even know what that means. What the hell does that mean?
1,000 homicides in 20 months.
That's, you know what? That's a lot. That is a freaking lot. Like, what is it? The Wild Wild West?
And again, if I have to, going back to Bivvies, I like to use exact names. Gina Campbell's 7-month baby was killed because this motherfucker was out drag racing.
And just living his life. Like it's in the movie.
Aggravated assault, illegal racing, accident involving in death with no license. And you can have a license now. And Philadelphia was the first city to pass the driving while black. You can no longer pull over people for minor injunctions anymore because it was too many black arrests. It was racism of the gaps.
Ooh. I'm ready to just run away. This is craziness. Like, when can we get some reasonable? When can we we get some reasonableness, really. But you know what? It's like, here I am. I am a Black woman. I come from the Black community. My family, you know, we were slaves. Okay, we are American Black people descended from slavery. But I see this and I'm like, you know what? Black people, we have really devolved, because who's actually doing all these? Who's doing all this crime? Are we going to look at, you know, the real facts, ugly as they are? Or are we just going to keep on, like, I don't know, making movies and singing songs?
I mean, you don't want to watch The Woman King? We the homie! We the homie! You don't.
Okay,
You don't.
you know what? Those
Enough,
motherfuckers were
enough.
the ones who sold my family. So no, I'm not looking at them like, oh, okay, yeah. Oh,
Not,
let's just look at this in historic perspective. No, you know what? Who is the one who actually sold us? Africans. Africans sold us. And those people, they were the main ones who sold us. So no, I'm not watching that movie. They can kiss my ass. Sorry, I carry a grudge. You know, I'm not gonna sit there and talk about the Confederacy and then not talk about who the Black people in Africa who actually captured my people and sent us through this shit. So you know what? Fuck them all. Oh, sorry.
No. This isn't chaotic. This isn't chaotic truth. You can say whatever you want. Well, I hope you don't mind. I'm gonna have to get to work. Thank you for coming on, though. Do you want to? I'll tell you what. Next week, do you want to watch the special that Vice did on Krasner when he first took office?
Let's watch the special and we'll just make our commentary. Does that sound? But you know what? If this is your thing, you tell me what you want me to do.
Look, I try to bring stuff from Chicago too, because you can talk about it because you're there.
Yeah, you know, Chicago's fun, but it's not my whole world. I'm a citizen of the world.
Yeah. The only thing I'm going to say is this is my thing. I think DZ's doing a great job, but I'm going to take it a step further. I'm preparing for the next set of riots.
Because they're coming.
Because, yeah, it's an election year. 2012, Trayvon Martin. 2016, Michael Brown. 2020 was the big one. And now the difference we have now is all these major cities are down 500-600 police officers.
Ooh,
actually, you know what? I keep trying to tell people this, but they ain't listening. If I can, one more thing. Let's do this. One more thing, and then I gotta jump. But you know, you try to tell people, but they don't fucking listen. Like, I've found vests that are backpacks that you can wear as a backpack, and if something happens, you can pull it forward as a vest. And I've purchased some of those for my family because I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen. I think next year is going to be really bad, and all these police forces are down. Here's an example here.
To a grim milestone in D.C. Police say it reached its 100th homicide since the start of this year. 2 of them happened just last night, hours apart. Fox 5's Melanie Alwick has been following the deadly crime wave and joins us now live.
But white supremacy is the greatest danger to America. That's what Biden said, right?
From Northeast D.C. and
Six shootings a day in D.C.
6. That's it? I live in Chicago.
Morning. Homicide is back here on the scene on 49th
One fact I want you to get from this.
Street, the 101st homicide of the year. It is June 7th, and this is the earliest that D.C. has crossed this sad milestone since 2003. And the D.C. Police Union has something to say about it. A little before 11 p.m., 2 people shot inside an apartment building here on 49th Street at Nash Street. It is just across the street from Ron Brown College Prep High School. We know a man was taken to the hospital, but a woman did not survive. No other information available at this time. The 100th homicide also yesterday evening, this one at 6:38 p.m. Witnesses told Fox 5 a suspect on a scooter fired several shots at the Shell gas station on South Capitol Street Southeast. A man was killed. So far, no motive determined, but all of this now part of a grim tally in the city.
And no suspect in custody, and nobody knows who did it, and no one's going to snitch on them.
Okay,
Blackistan.
nobody know nothing. Nobody know nothing.
Yeah, Blackistan. But if it was a white person, they got no problem showing their face. Yeah, he did it.
Homicides up 15%, on pace to exceed 200, possibly for the third year in a row. And that milestone also not reached since 2003. We spoke to a woman this morning who said she moved out of D.C. because of the violence.
My nephew was murdered in Virginia last year. So when it happens every day, it hits just that much harder for me. I understand way too much of what these people are feeling.
In a statement marking the milestone, D.C.'s police union blamed the council's police reform bill. It, among other things, bans chokeholds, limits the use of tear gas, and creates a public database of police misconduct. Union spokesperson Greg Pemberton called the measures radical, anti-cop, pro-criminal laws, and added that the council...
I don't have a problem with the police database, but on the same website, I want a gang database too.
Yeah, okay.
I want to know every gang member in my city that's been arrested and has them. I also want it next to every pedophile in the city as well.
Ooh, yeah.
That's how I see it. If you're going to put the police on blast, then I want every criminal on blast too. But I guess we notice a pattern in DC, right?
But aren't they? Because I know that you can go online and you can pull up like, can't you go online and pull up like who's been arrested?
No,
and stuff?
they're trying. Well, Chicago got rid of their gang base, or gang database, right? Philadelphia's they're trying to get rid of Philadelphia's too because there's too many blacks.
Oops, sorry. Sorry, it's not flattering.
Council's actions have had a chilling effect on professional...
Here, see this?
Mm-hmm.
1,200 police officers have left DC.
Chicago's down to everybody is done. All the police. I mean, like all the populations of police in all these different cities and stuff are down. They retired, and people didn't want to be police, and so now this is what we got. Wow. So when you're your husband or it's like kicking your ass, call for the police. Not gonna be there.
There, can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a backpack and he's able to pull it forward.
Wow.
And this is 3A armor, so it can block anything up to a 44 mag.
How heavy is it?
Does it matter?
Well, not when it comes to saving your life.
If shit gets real, I'm wearing it.
Yeah, I hear you. And yeah, I would do it too.
It's called it's from the Israeli catalog. Yeah, okay. But in any case, next Friday.
Sounds good.
All right, I'll pull up that Vice video. I'll probably have to do it on Rumble because you can get dinged for Vice videos. So I'll work on my Rumble account. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Be safe and just
Count
watch
me
your back out there. All right. Please be safe.
All day. Talk to you later.
Later.